Welcome to the Menopause Queen and a brand new episode of my eclectic, spiritual, menopausal, up and out there podcast. There's more and more of you listening to this. I'm so flattered and pleased that some of this speaks to your soul, your body, your mind, whatever part of you is interested in what is going on during this fabulous and scary change and transition that is the menopause, as we launch ourselves full-bodied, completely unexpected into the menopause and what the next chapter of our life is all about. And in this episode, I wanted to talk about, let's say, two main things. One, I've talked quite a lot about this being the year of the horse, this being the year of the fire horse even. We've gone from snake to horse, and what does that mean? But I want to just specify something, because there have been a lot of videos out there about the year of the horse, and a lot of those videos show galloping horses. But the year of the horse isn't just about charging forwards in some kind of insane gallop uncontrollably and really pushing. It is also about being completely present and aligned and authentic to your own truth. So that is one thing. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about is about limiting beliefs and how we as human beings, and particularly as women, and particularly as midlife menopausal women, we are very good at giving ourselves limiting beliefs. And I'm going to start with this subject because it actually spills into the second part of our conversation today. So limiting beliefs. I listened to a little clip. It's not even a podcast. I think it's an extract from a podcast, actually, by Stephen Bartlett, who is very well known in the UK. He's on Dragon's Den. He's an entrepreneur. He's come from nothing, and he is a multimillionaire now. And it was so brilliant because it just touched a very beautiful point for me. He said that a few years ago, someone explained this concept to him, and it's about the ant on the paper. If an ant is on a piece of white paper, and it can also be a spider, it has to be a smallish spider, and you draw a circle, black or blue ink, whatever, around the ant doesn't leave the circle. It just goes to the edge, comes back in, goes to the edge, comes back in. And from our view, you can see it's just a drawn circle. Right? You know, it can just walk over it. It's not a barrier at all. But from his view, because of his size and because of his eye angle, he sees it as a barrier, as a blockage, and can't actually get out of that and step over it. So the person who's experimenting with all of this decides not to do a circle, but to do like lines around it as it's moving. And as it's doing that, and the ant actually discovers that it's a biro doing it and doing the line, because it can now see that it's moving and there's an object attached to the other end. It walks over the biro and flees off the paper. It's all about limiting beliefs. This is what Stephen Bartlett was saying. The perception of a physical or metaphysical barrier is often our blockage, because the mind plays games on what the body can do, and limits what the body can do. So if you shift it into the other direction and say the mind is capable of massive expansion and of an ability to do incredible things, it's a whole other ball game, right? It's a whole other conversation that you are having with yourself. He then went on, Stephen Bartlett, to say this. He then went on to say that when he goes to LA, which sounds very posh, doesn't it? I've never been to LA, but when he goes to LA, he always goes to the same hotel, and he always goes into the same gym, and he uses the same treadmill. And for many, many years, he's been going on this treadmill, and he does 10K. Okay, and he gets to 10k, he can see he's at 10k, and his body tells him he's tired, so he stops at 10k. So this particular day, he gets on the same treadmill, and for some reason that day, he can't see the kilometers clocking up. Okay, so it's just not functioning on the machine that day. But he carries on, and he does his practice, and he keeps running. And after a while, he's thinking, I've been here for ages. And he keeps looking at the clock, thinking, I'm either going really slowly or I'm doing shitloads of kilometers here. Eventually he goes, well, I've got to stop because I've got meetings and I'm going to have to get off this treadmill. So he stops the treadmill, and at that point, the kilometers actually come up on the screen as to the total that he's done. And he's just done 21 kilometers. So this is 11 kilometers more than he would usually do. And he's not tired. His body wasn't tired because his mind hasn't sent that message to his body. Limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs and self-created barriers. Now, I'm going to give you an example of my own life experience, let's say. And I've had many experiences like this. We all have, particularly during the menopause. During the menopause, and even more recently, I'm now menopaused. I have been for a couple of years, I think. Year and a half, a couple of years. You lose track of time. Doesn't time go quickly? It's one of the other things you suddenly realise, how flicking quickly the time goes. You only have to go back onto your telephone and go, juk, 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 and you go, oh, was that 8 years ago? You are kidding me. It was like yesterday in my mind. Anyway, I digress, which is one of the other beautiful menopausal characteristics. But focus, coming back on track. Limiting beliefs. I kind of started to tell myself a story. Okay, and this story was that I wasn't good enough anymore to be a yoga teacher, to teach, to compete, to compete with the new yoga teachers who are nubile and 20 and looked amazing in lycra and all that kind of thing. And I told myself this story. I told myself that that's it. I'm now on, the second chapter of my life, and I have to change. I have to do something else. I'm just going to go and get a job. I'm going to stop doing this. Now, it may be that I do decide to do that at some point in the future. But in my head, I'd kind of aged myself and blocked myself before my time, if that makes sense. And so the limiting belief was all centered around this fact that I was changing. And in my head, I was telling myself I was changing for the worst. I was changing into not a good shape, not a good form, unable to da-da-da-da-da. You can fill in the gaps. So this limiting belief had an effect on everything. And I'm still, even now, crawling back from that and trying to put, and it's one of the reasons I started the Menopause Queen program coaching. It's one of the reasons that I've launched myself into a new venture that is not yet flourishing, but I know it will. It kind of is and it isn't. What is flourishing? What is success? That's a whole other podcast, right? But I started it because I needed a new direction. I needed something that could really spark my passion and my interest, and that I was good at, and that I knew stuff about, and that I lived through. Because I've lived through all of it. And I'm now the other side. Whoopee, great. And yes, I look different. And yes, I am different. But it's good. It's so good. I'm now teaching my body to really enjoy the body again. Digressing, coming back, focus. So I told myself that I was going through the change. It was inevitably going to be worse, not as successful, not the same. There's lots of no, not different, negative going on in my internal conversation. And I still have to pull myself back sometimes and just bring myself back into a mental conversation with myself to say, flip that limiting belief, flip it round, look at it the other way. And I'm going to give you a really concrete example recently. So this is just a couple of months ago. I had a conversation with a student of mine who is putting forwards my training. And I left a message which was so negative. It was so down, and I didn't really mean it to be. But the inner fear and the old menopausal voice of, it's not going to be enough. You're just not enough. This is not going to work because you're not good enough. You're not emanating enough. You just don't deserve it anymore. You've had your run, Charlotte. Just stop banging on your head on a brick wall. I left this message basically saying that I doubted that we were going to get more than a certain number of people sign up for a particular training course. And as such, gosh, we weren't really going to earn a lot of money from this, were we? And it was such a negative, line that I put around that piece of paper there. And I actually felt like I was in the center of that, banging my head on that invisible wall and just coming back into the no, it's not right, I'm just not, And it was like a sort of pattern that kept going and going and going like that. So I left this message. In fact, it was left for 3 people. One person listened to the message. I then deleted the message so that the others didn't hear it. And I'm really glad that I did. Because the one person who did hear it said, that's really deflated me. That's really deflated me because that's not the vision that I have of what's going to happen. My vision is a nice, big, beautiful room full of women in a circle, learning, moving, breathing together. And I was like, but she's right. She's so right. So I had to mentally rub that line out and go, yeah, why not? Of course, yes. Let's envisage that. Let's see the future of that. Let's expand on that level. Let's enjoy this and emanate it and see who joins. And it doesn't matter if it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 people. Whoever joins and turns up should be there. And we can radiate and emanate out from that space then. So it's a really precise limiting belief. Now, I'm going to shift this smoothly, not so smoothly, into the horse energy. So, as many of you know, because you've been following the podcast, if you don't, because you've just joined, thank you. But if you've just joined, I have a horse. Now, I bought a horse about a year and a half ago. And it was on a whim. I've always wanted to buy a horse again. I had a horse when I was a teenager, absolutely loved it, wasn't particularly brilliant at it, got scared regularly, freaked myself out. Goodness knows how I didn't injure myself more. I have guardian angels all around me. But I've always harboured this dream of later in life having a horse. But when you live up in the mountains and you've also spent many, many years dividing your time between 2 homes and 2 locations, you kind of have a limiting belief about that. You think, practically, that's going to be quite tricky. Then there's also the money side of it. So how on earth am I going to afford it? I'm never going to be able to afford it. Again, negative belief system. So switching this, I just suddenly had a moment of, no, I'm going to do this for me. I have spent the past 20 odd years spending my money on invoices for other people, on journeys for other people, on homes, on food for my kids, etc. All vital things. Don't regret any of it. But for once in my adult life, I would like to spend some of my money on myself, even if I have to go out and earn more, which I have had to do. So I bought a horse, an ex-race horse, on a whim. I had no idea how tough it was going to be. And when he first arrived, he was feisty, uncontrollable, not disciplined. He'd been taught all his life that when it's galloping with lots and lots of horses, you just go hell for leather. And when you're not galloping, you just walk slowly and you just kind of chill and ignore every instruction that's given to you. It's been a hard slog. when he arrived, he was 4. He's now just about to be 6. So he was 4, coming up to 5. He's now just about to be 6. This is kind of the worst time, I have to say, because they're just moving into manhood. So they're going from adolescence into manhood. So not only have we got the sort of, where's my position? What can I test as a boundary? Blah, blah, blah. They're also coming into their sort of feisty man stuff, right? So it's full on. And I've really had to work hard this past winter, because winters are tough. The cold, the shifts in atmosphere, the full moons that are desperately powerful, all these kinds of criteria have an effect on the horse. So it's been a really tough ride this winter, but I've stuck at it. I've fallen off badly a couple of times. Thank the Lord, and touched the wood that I have not broken anything, and I've stuck at it. The year of the horse, obviously, has arrived fully, the fire horse as well, and the horses reacted to that as well, mine particularly. They feel it in the air, they feel it in their bones, they feel this desire for freedom. But there's a few interesting things that I wanted to bring into the end part of this podcast, and one of them is the fire horse is not just about explosive galloping, freedom, driving forwards. It's about being totally present. It's about being totally honest. It's about being super aligned with what you really want. It's about relaxing into the silence of your nervous system. It's about listening. It's about tuning in, because then you can be free. Then you can face your fears. I'm going to give you one example of that to conclude this episode. And it's very recent. I was on my horse recently and in a class with 2 other very full-on feisty horses. One is very big, a lot of presence, reacts by kicking its back legs up. The other is a smaller, dynamic young horse, again, likes his own way, likes to stick with the pack, doesn't like it when you tell him what to do and to go quicker. And mine, who has a tendency to flip out on the corners of our workspace, let's call it the manege, flip out on the corners to try and get me off balance, basically. And has a very bad habit of doing this, or of turning in a different direction completely just for the hell of it, or suddenly galloping off just to frighten the pants off me. So we're in this class, and all of a sudden my instructor says, right, now Charlotte, gallop. And in the past, my limiting belief goes, shit, gallop, that's quick. He's going to try and throw me off. I'm going to have to spend the next 5, 10, 20 minutes, whatever it is, fighting with him, pulling, braking, turning, just trying to stay on the horse. She went, gallop. But this time, sit in your seat. Sit in your presence. When you reach the corners, kick into the corners. Look forwards. Kick into the fear. Look forwards. And when you get on the straight lines, just let it go. Let him do his thing. And keep doing it. He'll try and do his thing. Just keep doing it. Sure enough, 3 times he tried to throw me off on the corners. I stuck with it and did exactly what she was saying. I kicked into the corners. I looked straight ahead and up into my fear, and I sat in my truth. And we did that for 10 minutes in one direction, 10 minutes in the other direction. And the funny thing happens. My horse not only relaxed into it, but started to go, really? Do we still have to do it? He started to go, I'm quite tired. Can we not just stop? But he actually stopped farting about. He actually was riding with me, and we started to actually have a proper relationship with the present moment, and with the movement, and with the flow, and with the honesty of it all. That's the message of this horse year. It isn't hell for leather. It isn't feisty flighty. It's true, intelligent, present moment, honest anchoring, and authenticity. I truly hope that this touches a little part of your spirit, lifts your day, makes you suddenly go, what are my limiting beliefs? What am I stopping myself from believing that I can do? Where's my window of opportunity? And honestly, just look at yourself from a bird's eye view and see if you can see that limiting belief circle that is around there. See how you could just remove that. And what might the world look like if you did? Thank you. Thank you for being here in the Menopause Queen podcast. Thank you for listening and tuning in more and more. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode when we will be nurturing once again our bodies and our souls collectively and individually. Don't forget to like this video, to share it with your friends, or the podcast, to share it with your friends. If anyone you know is struggling, this is a space of positive self-belief.